The 10,000-hour rule is almost entirely a lie. It's fundamentally flawed. For example, a person could spend 10,000 hours practicing dunks but still wouldn't be able to dunk on an NBA-sized hoop. Meanwhile, someone who's 7 feet 2 inches could succeed with much less practice compared to our esteemed King LeBron. In reality, this 10,000-hour rule that people say makes you a master at something is just a myth. Becoming a good learner isn't about spending 10,000 hours struggling to learn something. Instead, it's about identifying the most crucial components of that thing and fully understanding them. This concept is called micromastery. Once you start thinking this way, you'll become much more efficient. Instead of wading through endless theory and every detail of what you're trying to learn, focus on the key elements and clever shortcuts that give you an instant boost. For example, if you're learning to draw, don't try to learn everything about art, such as its history, anatomy, shading, mediums, and color theory. Instead, focus on the most important aspect of drawing, lines and shapes. Start with basic shapes and lines, refining them until you're very comfortable. By doing this, you've taken a shortcut that puts you ahead of the average person, who may be bogged down with skills and information they will never use. Experimentation is another powerful tool. You can't learn if you're afraid to make mistakes occasionally. Trying new approaches is crucial, even if they don't always work out as planned. Every failure is just one step closer to success, and you'll end up discovering your own unique style in the process. In the same sense, failure is almost always the make or break factor when learning something. If you don't learn from your failures and repeat those mistakes multiple times, you'll never truly learn that thing. Generally, if you spend 10,000 hours doing something, you'll encounter every possible failure. You'll learn a lot from these failures early on, which will propel you toward mastery. Take a look at this graph known as the learning curve, let's say 100% on the y-axis and a range of 0 to 60. 0 represents us knowing nothing about what we're learning. Doing that thing 20 times means we'll make 20 mistakes. If we learn from all 20 mistakes, our performance will improve by 50%, learning 50% in just 20 attempts. But it starts to level out around 60 attempts because you've made every possible mistake. Understanding this, you can see why making mistakes is crucial. After those 60 attempts or 60 hours, it's all about practice. Feedback is also key. Practicing a skill is important, but if you never check whether you're improving, you might miss crucial adjustments. It's like playing a game of Valorant or Fortnite without knowing your score or rank. You wouldn't know if you're winning or losing, or if you're doing the right or wrong thing. Seek feedback from others or yourself. Honestly, I think the most overlooked part of learning is finding joy in what you're learning. In school, some gifted kids excel in certain subjects but struggle in others, often because they don't enjoy what they're learning. If you're genuinely curious and having fun, your brain is more likely to absorb new information and skills. Think about kids playing with building blocks. They're not following a step-by-step guide, but figuring out what works through trial and error. They stack blocks higher and higher, knock them down, and try again to build something taller. When you approach learning with playful curiosity, you remove the pressure of being perfect. Open your world of possibilities and learning by embracing the adventure. Learning shouldn't be a rigid plan that confines you. If you find yourself fascinated by a related topic while studying, explore it. There are no rules saying you must stick to one subject. For example, if you're interested in making juiced WRLD type beats on YouTube, but also curious about other styles, create those other beats too. These side passions can lead to fresh insights and creativity, enhancing your main pursuit and turning you into an ultimate beat maker. It's also beneficial to consider how you can share what you've learned. Explaining a concept to someone else or demonstrating a new skill not only reinforces your knowledge but also builds confidence. If you've mastered a skateboarding trick, show it to other skaters at the skate park or share it with friends or family. Getting feedback and watching others is crucial when learning. This interaction rewards you, maintaining your enthusiasm and motivation. When you share your knowledge, you're not only helping others but also deepening your understanding. Teaching requires you to organize your thoughts, identify gaps in your knowledge, and explain things clearly. It's like becoming a guide on your own path. You need to know the way well enough to lead others. The best part is that once people know you're into a skill, they might share their experiences or ask for advice. They might even teach you something new. So, don't keep your knowledge to yourself. Share it, and your growth will become contagious. A great example is Mr. Beast. When he started on YouTube, he and his friends shared their knowledge and experiences, helping each other grow. They spent time together and made calls, simply hanging out and discussing YouTube. They shared their failures, talked about what they were learning from their successes, and all grew together. Remember that learning curve? MrBeast reached 100% performance in a quarter of the time. Instead of making 20 mistakes in 20 attempts, he only made 5 mistakes, as the other 3 people made the other 15. He learned from everyone else's mistakes, which helped him become the biggest YouTuber ever and a master of his craft without spending 10,000 hours. If you adopt everything I've mentioned in this video, you can become the next MrBeast in whatever you're trying to learn. Whether it's picking up a new instrument, learning to cook, or posting videos on YouTube to reach 1,000 subscribers quickly, please subscribe. It's also important to note that different skills require different approaches. When learning something hands-on like woodworking, there's no substitute for real-world practice. You can't master carving by just reading about it. You have to grab some tools and start chipping away. For more theoretical subjects like coding or finance, balancing reading with practice that applies what you've learned is crucial. Don't get stuck in just theory or practice. Find the sweet spot that complements both. Learning isn't a one-size-fits-all process. Some people thrive with structured schedules and detailed outlines, while others do better being free and jumping into whatever they're learning. Pay attention to what works best for you and personalize your approach. If you're still not convinced, think about how kids learn. They dive in headfirst, experiment without fear, and learn. By taking action instead of overthinking, we can adopt a bit of that proactive mindset. Adding some planned micromastery will make learning more efficient. Begin by selecting a topic or skill you're truly interested in and break it down into smaller, manageable goals. Don't try to master the entire field immediately. Instead, focus on one aspect that provides a quick win. Mix things up and experiment with different methods to uncover new insights and keep the process engaging. Share your progress with others, whether you're explaining a concept, demonstrating a skill, or simply discussing your experiences. This reinforcement solidifies your learning. Remember, you're learning for yourself, not for anyone else. Avoid the trap of thinking you need 10,000 hours to master something. Reflect on a skill you struggled with before. Now, with this new approach, you might find it easier to tackle.